This is coming now from the state. They applied for a waiver on NCLB. We mentioned this at the test report. And as they inform us, we're going to update you on what the state is saying. So as of today, December 22nd, this is where the state is. And we know that that changes, right? But as of today, this is where we are. We just don't want to keep you, we want to keep you in the loop as they talk to us. So all states were encouraged to apply for an NCLB waiver, which means that we would be exempted from NCLB law, AYP, and all of those things. In order to do that, all states had to apply for the waiver and meet those conditions. Our state, New Jersey, went with option 1. Let's move away from AYP and NCLB as it currently is, and let's go to AMO, Annual Measurable Objectives, and I'll define those in a moment. If the waiver is accepted for the state of New Jersey, what that would mean is we would no more have district in need of improvement status. We would have no more schools in need of improvement status. We currently have schools that are in need of improvement. That status would go away. All sanctions for not meeting the AYP benchmarks as they are known now, right, would go away. So there would be no sanctions for having to provide supplemental educational services. There would be no letters that go out to parents that say, my school is a failing school, because that school wouldn't be designated as failing anymore. There would be no more school choice. So if a parent wanted to, if the NCLB currently states that if this school is failing and there's another school in your district that's not, you can transfer your child to that school, that would go away. Title I programming would only go to the lowest 5% of the poorest performing schools, which would be called priority schools. Requirements for highly qualified teachers would go away. And the limitations for transferring monies within the Title I budget would also go away. Kappa, which is currently in 2 of our schools, would no longer be pushed into the schools, and that school would no longer be required to take those recommendations. There would be the interventions that come along with Kappa would be removed, as well as the support. All school improvement funds, which currently the middle school and Sampson receive, would now only be given to priority schools. So if we're not designated a priority school, then we lose that funding. That does not mean we lose Title I funding, Title III funding, Title IIA. Title I is academic support, Title IIA is professional development, Title III is ESL bilingual. We would maintain all of that funding. We would also maintain Title I funding for our Title I schools. What we would lose is school improvement funding, which is the funding that was given to our schools in need of improvement, and those are 2. Supplemental educational services, that's a sanction. So that says X% of your Title I budget must be allocated to outside providers, consultants, to provide tutorial services to students who have economic need. That would no longer be a mandate. We would not lose that money, but they will no longer mandate us to use that money for tutorial services. Currently, we have to use it for those consultants or else we'll lose it, right? So that money will no longer be earmarked just for SES. We could use it as we wish. So anything that comes with NCLB as we currently know it today, as a sanction, as a requirement, unified plans, all of those things, if the waiver is accepted, then all of those things go away with NCLB, okay? So what would come in its place? The state developed a differentiated recognition, accountability, and support system. That's what they're calling it, AMO. And what they're saying is, a school would have to look at its 2011 data. That's the data that I just presented at the special board meeting. That 2011 data would be our baseline. If you look at the partial proficient rate for the school, the state is saying the school has to decrease that partial proficient rate by half over 6 years. So if you look at the last page of the handout, I gave you an example. These are real numbers, but worked up by the district, not worked up by the state. So again, that could change at any time. If a school does not meet that benchmark in year 1, it has to double up and catch up in year 2. When will this count? It will count at year 6. So they won't each year count it against the school, right? It will be at the, so they have the 6 years to demonstrate decreasing the partial proficiency by half. So every single school will have different benchmarks. It will be based off of their 2011 data. That will not change from year to year. 2011 data is the benchmark, period, and they have to decrease that baseline by the 50%, by the half. Okay? How will the community be advised of how we are progressing toward that 6-year benchmark? There will be a report card that is published, and on the report card it will simply say yes or no. That's it. They're not going to give us any more information. They're not going to show how we're making progress. They're not going to show any additional data. They're not going to give percentages. It's going to be yes, a school made progress, or no, a school didn't make progress. So when this is adopted, effective September 2012, there is no more schools in need of improvement in our district. We no longer have schools in early warning status. We will no longer be held to any of the sanctions because we did not, we have exceeded the priority and the focus school expectations.